hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Pluribus Diaries. I'm Annie.
I'm Jenn.
And today we're going to be talking about episode 7 of season 1 of Pluribus, entitled The Gap.
The Gap.
Which is not, to many people's disappointment, about a moderately priced clothing store.
It is not. It is not. I feel like a lot of folks had kind of figured out after last week, and when we saw Manousos heading out, everyone ran to their maps.
Yes.
And a lot of folks figured out that the Gap was likely to refer to the Darien Gap and spent the whole week researching the Darien Gap, which you and I also did. You kind of tipped me off on it. And my husband found it all quite sort of interesting. He said, what are they going to do? Like, it's as though everyone thinks they can tell Manousos what to do. Like,
right.
We're going to send them some information. Here's what you should do, Manousos. Here are your options.
It's so true. The writer of this episode is Jenn Carroll, who this is her first script, but worked on Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
And director Adam Bernstein, also of Better Call Saul fame. But I have to shout out too that he worked on Fargo, the show, which I also love. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. He's I had a quick look at his IMDb page, and yeah, he's a very prolific director on a lot of amazing shows. I think he did some Breaking Bad too. Am I right about that? Like 8 episodes or so. So he's been in the Gilligan verse for a little while, and he's obviously a very talented director. And Jenn Carroll is, first of all, shout out, Jenn with 2 N's. There's not many of us around.
Yep.
As much as I would like to be considered Patient X from way back in episode 1, I have a feeling that Jenn, Patient Zero in the first episode, may have been named after Jenn Carroll. I wonder. She's a co-executive producer on this show. So she's a big cheese. And
what a great episode for her first television script. Like, what a banger.
Like,
bravo,
this was
Jenn Carroll.
Bravo. This was not like a standard television episode. So this was great as always. And it always I'm so impressed throughout the season how we have different directors, different writers, and yet you'd never know that watching the show. Everything's very consistent.
Yeah, consistent, but not homogenized. I'll use that word again. Because I think every episode feels unique in tone and in presentation, but it all fits into the same world. So
it all feels very Pluribus. And but there is, every episode is different and has its own style and its own story to tell and its own messages to give us. So we'll get into that with The Gap.
I feel like The Gap, obviously named after the Darien Gap, but since we're dealing here with 2 sort of parallel journeys of Manousos and Carol, I feel like it also is referencing maybe the gap that Carol is feeling between herself and the world, or something like that.
That's very good. That's a great insight, because of course it's on a show like Pluribus, everything means more than one thing. And so I think you're absolutely right that could well be it.
And it did, to me, I want to know what you think. To me, this episode, what it kind of felt like is both Carol and Manousos being broken and kind of having to give in to the hive in some way or another.
Yeah, I think very much so. It's in very different ways, though, of course.
Right,
with Carol, it's psychologically, and with Manousos, it's physically. It's an interesting contrast when you look at the two, because as Carol is being broken down psychologically, Manousos seems so strong and determined, and it's only his body that lets him down in the end, but it does. Right. And so, you're right. In the end, they both wind up having to succumb.
It's like he's filled with purpose and she's lost her purpose.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's it in a nutshell in this episode. And his determination only grows stronger as the episode goes on, whereas Carol loses hers.
What a beautiful episode. This is one of those that, I mean, I feel like this was so many of the episodes of the show, but like the more I think about it, the more I just see how much care was put into crafting this. Like, it's just beautiful. Yeah.
So great. And always enhanced by listening to the official Pluribus podcast when they talk about all these details that they looked after in producing the show. And they do more than they have to, which I really appreciate. They can get away with things that they're not trying to get away with. They're not cutting a single corner. They're doing everything to perfection, and they care about doing it like that. And I really appreciate that.
Another thing I wanted to bring up before we jump into the episode proper is that a good friend of mine, shout out to my friend Erica, had a really nice thought. She said this episode felt to her like the stages of grief for Carol. Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. And the more I thought about that, the more I was like, wow, like that not only really fits into this episode in a microcosmally way, is that properly? And I can't talk, but you know what I mean? But also I think over the course of the entire season, perhaps if somebody was looking at this show as sort of a portrait of grief, could see Carol actively going through all of these stages. And I thought that was just such an interesting point. So I wanted to shout her out for that.
I like that. I like that a lot. I'm going to be thinking about that as we go through the episode.
Yeah. So, let's start off, shall we?
Yeah.
Denial. So we have Carol driving home from Vegas, humming, it's the end of the world as we know it, which took me a minute to place. My husband and I were, what is, and then I'm like, oh yeah, it's the end of the world. We got it.
I recognized it right away because during the very early days of COVID, I indeed also would drive around singing that song because it felt a bit like that. I just remember driving through the completely empty downtown and I was singing that song. So Carol and I were like, we're peas in a pod there.
Love it. So she pulls up to the gas station and, humming. And I wanted to point out the humming and the singing because it's the first time we've seen her behaving in kind of a chipper way. I think this is the moment where she has decided, like we said last episode, fuck all of this. I'm just going to move forward and live my life and live in this world that they have left for me the best way I know how.
Yeah.
And more power to her because what else are you going to do? She's lost every sort of avenue that she thinks that she has to save the world. So she's kind of in a way given up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she has, because going to see Diabate was kind of like, she thought that was going to lead to big things. And then when it didn't, she realized that she didn't really have any options left. Her main focus in her fight was to get the assistance and the alliance of the other survivors. And when she realized that was never going to happen, and furthermore, that she wasn't in as much immediate danger as she thought, in the sense that she, in her mind at least, is never going to be forced to join the hive.
Yeah.
Now it's less urgent.
Time.
Yeah, she's got some time. The urgency is gone. No one cares about saving the world. So fuck this. I might as well just make the best of the situation as best I can.
Yeah. So she needs some gas, goes into the gas station. They pointed this out on the official pod. It's not a parallel I drew, but thinking about it, I'm like, duh. Thinking about how easily Carol is able to get gas. She just basically asks for it. And how hard Manousos, in contrast, had to work to get gas. I just really liked that parallel. That was really cool.
It's so interesting. I mean, we see the parallels. There's several, I think, between their two journeys. And it's interesting because Manousos could have the exact same thing, of course, that Carol has. He's just choosing not to. So it's an illustration of how determined he is not to take a single thing from the hive people. And
right. Well, he's exactly like Carol was in that first week or two.
Yes, she was like that too.
They were the same. And I remember people, giving her grief for it. And, people aren't necessarily giving Manousos grief for it. I wonder why that is, Jen.
I couldn't say.
Couldn't even begin to hazard a guess.
I mean, but, there's no obvious difference between them as people and humans.
Gosh. But anyway, she picks up the phone and we get to hear Patrick again. I have to point out one more thing. There are a lot of haters out there that are getting real tired of hearing this message. No. Jen, I love it every single time.
You know what? I was starting to get a little tired of it somehow last episode, but there's something about it this episode, maybe because there's so little dialogue, that I was very happy to listen to it.
I honestly love listening to it, but I just like seeing how Ray fills the silence, or not the silence, but fills the silence on her end. It's
she
just
has to
so
do
fun to
something.
watch.
She can't really do anything. She's waiting for the message in, but she's got to do something. And it's fun how she kind of comes up with something different every time.
I also want to point out too that many people, I've seen this many times, many people are like, why doesn't she just ask them to leave her a shorter message? And I'm like, okay, well, that seems like a really good idea on its face, but like, think about it a little longer. She's lonely. Like, she probably enjoys listening to that message. She probably likes hearing a person talking to her. So, I mean, even if it's just a recording, I don't see any reason why and also, maybe we're in a hurry, but what the fuck kind of urgency does she have? Why would she do that? Who cares? It's just, I don't know.
I think you're right that like we as viewers are like, come on, the clock's ticking. We've only got like 45, 50 minutes here. Let's go. Whereas Carol's got all the time in the world.
It doesn't even occur to her, I'm sure, to make them change
probably
it. Like,
not. I think she did find it like annoying in its length at first. But as time has gone on and as she gets more and more isolated, listening to a voice that's talking to her, quote unquote, it's kind of nice, probably.
It's like a comfort.
I get that.
So what I think is interesting about this whole sequence is that it does appear like she is now accepting their offering of bringing her whatever she wants, as hard as she fought against that back in, what was that, Grenade in episode 3, about her independence and wanting to do things for herself. Now she's like, and you know what? I had a lot of feelings about this scene, Jenn, because I did very much notice the fact that not a please or a thank you came out of her mouth this entire time. And at first it was kind of like, it kind of irked me. But then the more I thought about it from Carol's perspective, honestly, fuck them. They're putting her in this position to have to ask. They took all the food. They took everything away. She has no choice. She can't get it herself necessarily. So you know what? She's like, fine, if this is what you want to do, why do I need to be polite about it? I get it. I get it.
Exactly. This isn't like me sitting in my apartment saying, snap, snap, bring me some Gatorade because I can't be bothered going out to the store to get it. This is her only option. And I mean, we see how Manousos interacts with the Hive people, and he's a lot less polite than Carol is.
Right.
And it makes sense, especially when we start to see it more from Manousos' point of view. He's so sort of hostile towards them. It's kind of a good reminder for me, at least as a viewer, that these people aren't necessarily nice, because when we see things through Carol's POV, she's become increasingly sort of accepting of them and, gets along with them, generally speaking. She's used to them. She interacts with them. She's not particularly suspicious of them anymore. And so, we start to think of them as just regular people to a certain extent. But Manousos, when we see things from his point of view, it's like a completely hostile reaction to a hostile invader. Yeah. And I think that it's a justified reaction on his part. And it's kind of a good reminder to us that, hey, these are not friendly people necessarily. This is not what's happening here. And this is not the way that you act normally with other normal people. Just because Carol is a little curt and rude and a little demanding of the Hive people doesn't mean she acts like that when she's dealing with human beings.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that at all. I think that a lot of people are I don't mean to say this, I feel like a lot of people are confusing the Hive for actual people.
Well, it's easy to it's the same kind of trap that I think Carol starts to fall into to a certain extent, which is it's easy to start to think of them that way, especially when they're the only people in the world.
Only people on the planet, yeah. Or that she at least is aware of. And she isn't even being engaged with by the quote unquote real people, the survivors.
Yeah.
So, what are you going to do? What are you going to do, Jenn?
What are you going to do? It's all you've got. And it's just, we'll discuss this as we go along, the degree to which the Hive wanted to create that perception
this situation.
In Carol.
Yeah.
Because of this situation. If things had gone on as they were, then things probably would never have changed on Carol's end. Why would they? So if you withdraw all human contact whatsoever, what kind of effect does that have on her? And what does that say about the Hive in terms of what they are willing to do to her to get her more on board with them? To me, as the episode went on, it became increasingly chilling from my
Yeah,
perspective.
I agree 100%. I have a lot of thoughts about how I feel about the hive.
Yeah.
And how it affects these people. And also kind of starting to look at, I mean, and I've always said from the beginning, Jen, that I do think of these people as victims. I don't think that they're the same people that they were anymore. I don't necessarily believe they've all reached this stage of enlightenment and they're thrilled about their current situation. I don't necessarily buy that that's what's going on. I kind of look at it as the hive mind. The hive mind is almost like a separate entity from the bodies of these people, its own entity. And it's sort of taken over all these people kind of as vessels. And that's sort of the sci-fi element that I see it as. So when you think about it that way, and these people are just victims in mindless zombie bodies walking around being controlled by something, then yeah, like they are just kind of sick people, afflicted people. And her treating them terribly could come off a certain way to a viewer. But at the same time, she doesn't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on. All we see is sort of an antagonistic force that is doing everything in contrast to what Carol would want, or what she honestly truly believes the world would want. So it's easy for me to understand why she behaves the way she does.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that in the early episodes, at least, we're still being given this impression from the hive people that they are just all of humanity. That's all they are. They're just humanity joined together. But I like the way you've put it, Annie, that the hive itself is maybe an entity outside of humanity that's controlling them, which is something altogether different. So that when you're addressing them, you're not addressing a human being. You're addressing the hive force via the conduit of a human being.
Conduit is a really good word. Yeah.
Certainly that's how we see Manousos doing it. That's how he sees it for sure. I'm looking forward to discussing how he speaks to them.
Oh, yes, absolutely. All to say, though, to your point, though, I do see kind of what they're doing as manipulative. I don't know how to see it any other way.
No, I mean, it started off making sense. I mean, Carol did fuck up. She almost killed Zosha twice. Once by mistake, once pretty much on purpose. Although it's kind of a manslaughtery situation. But she was a danger to them. She was also a danger to them in the sense that she was showing how determined she was
to get the answers.
To get the answers. And so it made some sense that, okay, just from a self-preservation point of view, we'll just kind of get away for a while. But as time goes on, it becomes less about something that's a rational choice and more about something that's being done to her.
And it's actual blackmail. Like what Diabate told her is that they just want a change of heart. So they are basically saying, we'll come back if you change.
Yeah.
And I mean, to Carol, who has gone through conversion therapy, that I could see how that could be very, very upsetting to hear and triggering and all of those other things.
Very, very. And it puts it on her. This kind of like, if we were to look at it, I don't know if I want to take this analogy too far, but if we were to look at it as kind of a toxic or abusive relationship, there's this sense of, oh, this is on you, the victim. You made me act this way. And so it's up to you to change. I'm not doing anything wrong. And it's just kind of disgusting the way that it plays out.
Yeah, especially if they had given her the opportunity to apologize or to show some sort of regret or guilt over what happened to Zosha. I think Carol would have done that. I think she very clearly feels bad. And while she's not going to stop her investigations, like she probably very easily could have been like, look, I fucked up. I probably shouldn't have done that. I won't do that again. You know what I mean? Kind of like a child and a parent. Yeah. And let's see how it goes. We don't need to abandon you to solitary confinement, which is an actual method of torture.
Yeah.
To make our point, but that's what they do, and they and yet we're supposed to believe that their biological imperative is to make Carol happy. Yeah, like that they know she's not happy. You know what I mean? And so it's just it's fascinating to me. Feels manipulative. It just makes me think. Okay, so are they capable of manipulation? Are they aware of the extent to which they're manipulating her, or do they honestly believe that what they're doing is making her happy? Which seems silly.
No, it's a really great question. I think that to me, the more I thought about it, it is manipulative, and almost, and I would say not just manipulative, but malicious.
Yeah.
And this is the first time that I've seen the Hive act in such a way that made me feel that way. Because up until now, they genuinely just seemed kind of like weirdly blissed out and completely lacking individuality, which was bad enough that they had lost their autonomy and agency. But now I'm starting to sense that they are a malicious, that there's a malice in that force that's very disturbing.
Yeah, agreed. Well, let's go back to the gas station. Did you notice that? Well, she goes for all the fireworks, of course, which I would probably do that too. I'd be like, awesome. I'm going to stuff this car with as much fireworks as I can and have myself a good time.
She stuffed that full of fireworks.
And all the cigarettes were left behind too. Did you notice that?
I did notice that.
It's almost like all of the things that there's no need, there's absolutely no need, and there's no other use for them. That they can't turn cigarettes into something useful.
Yeah,
so they
that's
just
right.
left them all behind. I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, good point.
I'm surprised Carol didn't take up chain smoking.
It feels like that would like be something to do at least, if nothing else.
Just slowly kill yourself.
Yeah, why not?
Which will come back later.
We will indeed.
But she ends up probably in that moment thinking, let's just, and I think a lot of it too is just curiosity. It's just idle curiosity. I wonder what would happen if I asked for a cold Gatorade. Let's just see what happens. Yeah. She asks for an ice cold Gatorade, which, arrives on the little drone.
Yeah.
But it's tepid. It's tepid.
I gotta to speak brief, having shit on the hive mind. I'm going to speak for them for a moment and say they got it there pretty quick, considering how specific that was and how isolated her location seems to be.
Yeah.
So, they almost fulfilled her request, but like you said, not entirely.
Not entirely. I do like how she. I do like how she's waiting for it, and it's almost like she didn't really care. I think she just wants to stab him a little bit. Hey, I'm going to make you feel a little bit bad because look what you are doing to me.
At that line, do better next time. I love it. I just love it. If I could like it, maybe I'll make that the ringtone on my phone or something, but I love the way she delivered that line.
It was so good. It was like almost happy, like almost pleased with herself for really pulling one over on them. But I also like that in hand with that, I love the little detail of she's just scratching all the little lottery scratchers just for shits and giggles. Yeah. And then finally gets to one that says winner and goes, yay, like as if it matters.
Yeah, it was kind of like a little yay and then a kind of a, well, fuck this kind of a vibe. I did love that. I loved that too, actually.
Kind of like the thing you brought up a few episodes ago with the little gun, how she pushed the button and then it released it, like how emblematic that was of what's going on in her life. I felt like that little moment is emblematic of what's happening now. Like, you're having fun, you're getting a win, but it's not real. It's meaningless. Yeah.
Very good. Nice point.
She continued. Now she's back in the car. She's no longer humming. She is full out singing.
Yes,
it's the end of the world as we know it. And then I loved I feel cut to credits.
Yeah, that was, and on the official pod, they make it clear that was a very deliberate cut, that they had always planned it that way, that it kind of, I guess if I understood it correctly, it kind of raises the question of, does she feel fine?
Right.
And that's the question throughout this episode.
Mm-hmm. And we're not quite sure if she's putting it on or is she just kind of being brazenly putting one foot in front of the other and pretending that she's fine. Yeah, we don't know. Honestly, I think there are some moments, it's up to interpretation. I think there are some genuine moments in the first half of this episode where she is probably fine. And then it kind of goes away, like back and forth, back and forth.
Absolutely. I think it's not as always, it's not a black and white thing. She's not totally pretending to feel fine, nor is she totally never feeling fine. There is a little bit of a mix back and forth throughout. So
she gets home. We're now at 12 days, 20 hours, 42 minutes, 51 seconds. And she's kind of losing it here. Like, I don't know if it's like she's losing her mind, but she's just really forcing having a good time. Like, it just sounds like she's being very like, look at me, guys. I'm having a great time out here with my cooler of beer and my fireworks. And she's setting them off.
Yeah, look at me. It's like what you do after you break up. It's like, hey, look at me. Look at my pictures on Instagram and how much fun I'm having now without you.
Yes, that's totally what it is. Yeah. I had to point this out, Jen. She's got this canned beer that she's drinking from. Why is it not Shiner Bock? What happened, Vince? What?
Yeah, that's the Gilliver's beer of choice, is it not?
Yes, I feel like this would have been a great opportunity for that, and
Mm.
well, I'm sad about it. I wanted to see the Shiner Bock.
Maybe, sadly, perhaps that has gone out of business, and
No, it hasn't, because I just had one last night.
There you go. Well, at least you're having it. You're having it, even if Carol didn't. Someone's got to do it.
Or she could not find it at that random gas station. Maybe that's what happened.
She's got to make do with what she's got to make do with, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
She's feeling alone. She's doing what she wants, and she hears the wolves, who are, somewhat nearby, but maybe not close enough to worry her, I guess. Hears them howling, and then she kind of howls back, and it's just a really lovely little moment of her kind of letting loose, and it's kind of like she kind of feels good in this moment. Like, I don't know if it's like she's genuinely happy, no, but she's kind of like, okay, maybe I can do this. I can be alone.
I like the way that scene kind of develops too. It's kind of like a fairly kind of fun little exchange of howling at first, but then there's that great sort of is it a whip around pan where they do this 360 pan all around her?
Arc pan, I think, an arc shot.
Pan, thank you. And that last howl is a little bit like a primal scream, I think. She like really lets it all out. And I think she scares the wolves because they don't howl back after that.
They're like, that was not a wolf. That was something else.
She kind of terrifies them a little bit and looks, I think, quite pleased with herself that she does. But she looks, that to me in that moment looks almost just a tiny, she's starting to get a tiny bit unhinged in that moment.
Yeah.
There's just, she's got so much inside her that she has not let out. And all of this, I'm going to enjoy myself kind of thing. It is, in a sense, like another coping mechanism, sort of like the way her alcohol is, because she's still not totally feeling her feelings. But yet, it comes out in moments like that.
And we're still, I feel like, in denial stage of the grief, if we're going with this little, if we're going with that. So then she decides to go golfing the next day, which is, I imagine, an activity that Carol makes her happy. So she's just going to go do it. She's got the whole golf course to herself. Yeah. Little bunny. You see the little bunny going by.
Little bunny, a little less cute buffalo on the right.
Was it cool? Yeah. I was like a bison, a buffalo. I wasn't quite sure.
I think a bison and a buffalo is the same thing.
Maybe it is
People
the same.
Will correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sure. I mean, I've seen a button, not to brag, but I've seen a bison up relatively close, like about maybe 20 feet away from the car. I was ready to race off if I had to, because I used to live up in far north of Canada. And so, not that far north, not like the Arctic, but far enough north that you could see bison on the highway on a regular basis.
Wow, that's cool.
And they are fucking massive up close. And I could see why Carol gave him a little bit of a wide berth, because they are quite terrifying.
I love how she played this, because she's singing again. And here we are, her singing I'm All Right, Kenny Loggins from Caddyshack. Another Vince Gilligan reference. What did you think of, Jen?
I'm sorry. I failed on this one.
Je Souhaite again, where Mulder and Scully were watching Caddyshack at the very, very end.
Oh, nice one. Yeah. You know what? Caddyshack was kind of itching my brain a bit, but I couldn't think why.
Yeah. And you hear this song as they're watching it. So love the little Easter egg. Another song in which she's saying, I'm all right. I like the song choices that they're picking.
The song choices are not random, right? This is like, is she trying to convince herself? It's interesting.
Yeah. But I love the way that Ray plays that when she's going by you see her singing and you see her seeing something.
Yeah.
And she's kind of like quieting her singing. And the only reason that I knew what she was singing is because I remembered seeing it in the teaser, which was, I don't know, kind of a bummer, because I really wish it had been more of a surprise.
It would have been kind of, I think, and just as a very quick aside, I think this episode might be the last tiny bits of the teaser trailer.
Yes. Everything will be brand new.
Exactly. I think because there's a couple little bits in this episode that were in the trailer, I think. Yeah. And so now I think those are the last little pieces of the puzzle now in the trailer. And now anything after this will be a surprise.
I feel like I really want to limit my Twitter usage because I fear things are going to be leaked and I don't want to be around for
Yeah.
that. But
I don't know. I mean, I feel like so far there's not been a lot leaked. Did you hear about I'm guessing you did the Google Earth spoiler?
I did, but I did not go. And luckily I
Yeah.
had no idea what it was. So I was
Me
not
too.
spoiled by that. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew that it was a spoiler, and I'll give a shout out to whoever originally at least posted it on the post that I saw. They actually did blur it with the spoiler filter on
Good.
Twitter,
Thank
so that
you,
you couldn't
people.
easily see it unless you clicked on it. But I mean, we can say now the spoiler was that from Google Earth, you can literally see the big painted sign on
the cul-de-sac.
on the cul-de-sac saying "Come back." So I'm glad I didn't know that.
Yeah, same. I was really, really glad that was a surprise.
But
So,
there's been very few other sort of leaks, spoilers. There's just not much out there, which I love.
that is a hilarious spoiler to me because it's like, were they taking the Google Earth photos like the day they were shooting that? Because surely they wiped it up. You know what I mean?
Don't know. Maybe they didn't. I'm going to assume that it's still there. Like maybe
you're
if we
right.
were to go there now, they just kind of left it there for the rest of the season. Maybe season 2 is going to start off and it's still going to be there. Maybe there's
because you're right. Yeah, who would clean it up? But I guess maybe I would think that it would get faded. But I don't know.
I don't know. We'll see, I guess.
You know, if I'm trying to imagine myself being, the crazy obsessive fan that I am and wanting to like look at all the things and seeing that on Google Earth and not even thinking of it as a spoiler, thinking of it as like marketing. I would be like, oh, is this just Apple's marketing to fuck with me? Like, because, like, I don't know if I would have even, I mean, I probably would have thought it might be a spoiler, but I would have been like, maybe they just did that to fuck with people because they know people are going to go look. Yeah,
that is possible. I mean, Apple has been pretty creative with their marketing here, so that would have been a possibility, absolutely.
But obviously, they weren't aware of it. Otherwise, they probably would have contacted Google Earth and been like, "Can you please fix it?" Anyway, that's funny.
But yeah, I didn't know about it, so that was good.
So outside the country club, and I'm wondering, I wasn't sure, but I'm wondering if this is the same country club that was used in Better Call Saul when Kim and Jimmy are kind of following Howard.
Yeah, I kind of wondered the same thing, but yeah, it's clearly a country club, and I kind of wondered if maybe Carol had never golfed there before because it was
so fancy.
She wasn't a member, and now she gets the chance to golf at like the nicest course in town.
She should call up the Hive and be like, I need to be transported immediately to Pebble Beach. Like that's supposed to be like the best one. She should. Why not? Go do it, girlfriend.
Yeah, go travel.
Her police car won't start. So unfortunately, by police car, I'm very sad to have lost it. But
it was a good thing to have while we had it. Very useful to get rid of the wolves, and it's served its purpose well.
And she has taken the shotgun along with her, which she jams into her golf bag.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was just it's a good place to store it, actually. Yeah. Very handy.
So she picks out a Rolls Royce, which I think is hilarious. Like, why not? Why not?
Why the fuck take the most expensive? I mean, those were pretty pricey cars, but I'd be willing to bet that the Rolls Royce would be the most expensive of the bunch.
I agree. Which it also had balloons all over it, and it said "just married" on the windshield.
That kind of broke my heart a little bit because it was, I mean, on a couple of levels, but initially because it was a reminder to me that these members of the Hive were just regular people living a regular life. And here were these people that had just gotten married, starting their life together. And now they're just fucked up into the Hive.
Not picking apples.
Yeah. And that was the end of their life. That kind of made me a little bit sad. It was a bit of a sad reminder. Plus the other layer of sadness of Carol then driving around with just married on a car when she is herself very recently widowed, which made me sad as well.
Yeah, it did feel a little masochistic for her to pick that car with that on it. But I was thinking, it just occurred to me. I was thinking maybe she would wash it off, but obviously she doesn't for the next several weeks. She leaves it on there. The
balloons eventually go, but the just married remains.
It's still there.
I like the word you use, masochistic, because it does almost like, I think Carol has that kind of, there's a level of a deep-seated sort of self-loathing maybe. Yeah. And that can kind of, come out.
Me. That realization just kind of hurt me.
I know, right? Me too. I'm feeling it in my heart right now.
Yeah.
She feels like, because I think if you have that kind of feeling that there might be a sort of a mental self-harming going on. And yeah, it's tough. It's tough to watch.
By the way, I wanted to point out the way we both just identified the hive leaving that car behind as sad, I think means that you and I have both pretty firmly planted ourselves for now in the camp that these people are not better off.
No. I mean, there might be some that are, depending on where you came from, but certainly people that just got married and were celebrating a country club definitely are not better off in the hive.
I mean, that is really sad to think about.
It's just a reminder, because we don't get them very often, that these people had lives before, because we don't get flashbacks. We've never seen hive people in their previous lives.
Right.
But this is a little insight,
window into that.
A little window into the real people with real lives with things happening.
So Carol is continuing on with her journey of life and her journey of living it up. And she's driving over to the hot springs because why not?
Why not?
This time singing Born to be Wild, which Jen, I'm not sure if you picked this up because I literally just did on my most recent rewatch, but one of the lyrics in this song is "Take the world in a love embrace."
Oh, nice. Yeah.
That's a nice little parallel with the ending of this episode. Just
very nice. Very nice. I think you're absolutely right that none of these songs are an accident.
None of them are accident.
They're all really interesting to pick up little tidbits.
Yeah. And the reference to exploding, like explode into space, let off your guns, like it was like a fireworks thing. I don't know. It was a really good choice and very, very...
And fun to sing, I think. It seems like a fun thing to sing as you're driving down the highway.
By the way, bless her, because I can say this because she said it herself on many accounts. Ray's not the best singer, but I enjoy her joy and her attempts because it just makes me happy to listen to it.
I love it. And I mean, I'm not the best singer either, but when I'm alone, I love to sing.
And when you're alone, you're the best singer in the room, in the world. Yeah,
exactly. You can entertain yourself. And that's exactly how you sing when you're completely alone. So I think it's very believable.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved her performance all throughout this episode, as usual, once again. But perhaps my favorite moment was this one, when she's in the hot springs and she's like, "It's getting hot in here, so take off all your clothes." I was like, am I really watching this? Like, I could not believe that she was singing that song. I thought it was hilarious. And she, again, looked like she's really enjoying herself in this moment.
I think, she looked like she genuinely enjoyed the hot springs. And I mean, who wouldn't? That is an enjoyable experience. So, and I like the fact that, I mean, part of the fun, I think, for her is that she can just do it naked. Yeah. And, they didn't have to show us anything to show that she's naked because she's singing it to us. So I like the fact that it's conveyed that way.
It was so funny. I just, thinking about it just makes me happy. That probably was my favorite moment in the episode. It's hard to pick, but I loved that part.
She looked genuinely, I think that's the most genuinely happy she looked pretty much throughout the episode. So she
disagree. I disagree, but I think it was very close. I would put it at number 2.
All right. Definitely. She goodness knows, girlfriend needs a bit of a spa day. She needs to relax.
Does.
She's probably just been like a tightly wound spring ever since this happened. So she really does need to relax a little bit. So I'm glad she had that.
And I love that she followed this up with a museum visit because after you've de-stressified, you want to go enjoy some culture and some lovely art.
Lovely.
And did you pick up the be it intentional or unintentional Breaking Bad Easter egg here?
This was I want to say, is it in Santa Fe? And this was where
Jane and Jesse never got to go.
Jane and Jesse. I remember, for some reason I could remember Jane's name, but for some reason I was blanking on Jesse's name, which is weird.
How could you forget Jesse Pinkman, our babyest boy?
I know. I adore him with all my heart. And oh my God, I saw, just as a very quick aside, I saw him in a very old ad last night. And oh my God, he was just as beautiful as always. But anyway, that's a sorry. Just a tiny little Aaron Paul thirst right there.
Always time for that. Always time for the Aaron Paul, Jesse Pinkman love. But it did make me sad. I did get a little jolt.
Getting back to reality here, big Breaking Bad reality. Yeah, that they had big plans, didn't they, to go to that very museum? And sadness.
Yeah. But she's singing now "Georgia on My Mind," Georgia O'Keeffe. Yeah, I love the variety. I have a feeling Carol and I have very similar music tastes because it really runs the gamut in this episode, all of her taste. And all of them I liked. Like all of them were bangers.
Yeah, they were all bangers.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. I tend to agree with you. They were all really great songs. I love Georgia on My Mind. It's just one of the greatest songs, I think. And she does a
Wonderful.
beautiful job. Great acoustics in that art museum.
In that museum, I would love to just walk around a museum and not have to deal with people. Like that was one of the things that I'm like, man, if I was in this situation, I would definitely go do that. I'd go see all the art museums.
And she's clearly been there before, as we are soon to find out. And so she knows what it's like to be there with people. And it's so much, it's a completely different experience being able to do it on your own.
This is, again, one of those times I have to bring up that people complain about these long, drawn out scenes, and I just love them. Like, I think watching Carol walking around that museum in real time, enjoying the art in real time, I think was so important and so like impactful because, you know, as she has said herself in interviews, it's like, there's no more art. That's never going to happen again. We have nothing new will ever come out of anyone's individuality that would express itself as art. And so this is it. This is all we've got. And so seeing her kind of take that in and probably coming to that realization in this moment, I thought was super impactful and very necessary.
Absolutely. Yeah, great point. Very sort of poignant. And yeah, that was a great scene. I loved the art, which apparently were reproductions of the originals, but very faithful reproductions because they're not allowed to film around the actual original art in the real Georgia O'Keeffe Museum because there's all kinds of rules. They can't have bright lights on them and things like that. But they did a very faithful recreation of it. And so it's beautiful. I mean, Ray makes every moment fascinating to watch on screen. Her face is never the same from one second to the next. And it always tells such an interesting story. Plus, I love the song, and she did a beautiful job with it.
Yeah. And I think she's thinking about it in a moment like, you know what? I'm going to take this because obviously this painting has great meaning to her. She and Helen have a print of it in their house. And she like, no one else is going to ever appreciate this again but me. Like, what must it be like to feel that? Like, literally no one is going to appreciate any piece of art in the entire world ever again. I don't think they can. This is yet another thing we talked about last episode. They can't really enjoy games. They can't enjoy whimsy or any sort of bluffing or anything like that. They can't enjoy art of any kind because every single kind of art is something that can only be appreciated, I think, uniquely. Like it means something different to everyone. And so as a hive, I don't think they can enjoy it. Like, I don't think it would mean anything to them because it would mean everything. So it means nothing.
It means, well put. It would mean everything, so it means nothing. And they seem so focused on just very sort of practical survival that the only thing that art would mean to them is, oh yeah, maybe we could burn that for firewood or something.
Right.
It doesn't have a practical purpose, so it doesn't matter to them anymore.
It's adding more fuel to the fire of me not thinking this is a good life. Like as an artist myself, like not being able to enjoy art would just be horrible. That'd be awful.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we have the visual art in this episode. We have music in this episode. And two things that are essentially gone from the world now.
This piece is called the belladonna. That's the flower it is, which is actually a poisonous flower. Might be an interesting parallel later. I don't know. Maybe.
Stunning piece of work though, eh?
Beautiful. And this is the moment that I think she looks happiest in this. And I think this is important. I think that this is important because it comes back later, her staring at this painting. I think Carol looking at this painting is the happiest we have seen her since this show began. With the exception of her being with Helen in the first, anytime we see her with Helen. But she looks genuinely happy. She's smiling. She's so, and I think that's because this had a great meaning to her and Helen. And I also think that clearly she's an artist. Carol, we know, is an artist. Right. And it has great meaning to her. And I think that's important. And I want to point it out.
I think that's a great point because I think you're right that the feeling I get from her when she's looking at that is not just like a fleeting kind of happiness, but like a deep and profound joy that it gives her that you can only really get sometimes from the experience you have with art. And the memories, it might have been one of the only times that I got the feeling that maybe she was thinking back on a memory with Helen and not finding it
feeling painful. Right. Like, because this is what leads her into having the idea of, you know what, I want to go out and kind of celebrate Helen and our life.
Yeah.
And then has this idea that she wants to go out to where they had their anniversary and have all of these specific meals because she knows they can do that. And they do. They do it for her.
They come through.
This was also one of those moments that I saw in the teaser that really surprised me because it was completely unexpected. Like, I had no idea this was going to be the context for her in that beautiful gown. Yeah.
We saw that clip in the trailer of her wearing this gorgeous gown, and it's like, it's so different from anything we had seen so far. It's like, how's that going to happen? So it was interesting to see it.
This is one of those moments where I know we don't describe Vince as a gotcha guy. He's not, but like, he was probably like, ha, nobody guessed that. I remember people going, where is she? There's 4 plates there, so she must be meeting with 4 people. And they're like coming up with all the ideas of what she's doing. And no, none of that. None even close.
None of that.
Yeah.
Don't even bother. We shouldn't even bother trying to guess because it's always something different. And I mean, of course, everything in that restaurant serves to emphasize how alone she is. Because there's 4 dishes, but it's only for her. It's a whole restaurant, but only for her.
Yeah. Yeah. And it does really bring that isolation. And also just her looking so out of the ordinary. Like, we've seen her look done up before. In episode 1, she looks really nice for her fans when she goes to her reading or whatever, but we've never seen her in anything like this.
No, this is her very finest gown.
She went all out. Well, I wonder too, was this her gown, or did she say, bring me something fancy, bring me the fanciest thing that you know, because what's all the Chanel doing, just sitting in a warehouse somewhere? Bring it to me in this size, bring me a dozen dresses all in this size. I'm going to try them on. I have a feeling that's a new dress. I don't think that was hanging up in her closet.
Yes, because like, what would she ever have worn that for?
Right.
That's what, like, maybe that's what Ray Seahorn might wear to the Golden Globes, but
it's not. Should.
And she should, shouldn't she? When she wins.
Exactly. But that's an awards show dress. You don't wear that to an anniversary.
I liked your headcanon there that she just bring me all the beautiful designer dresses and I'll pick whichever one I want.
Yep. I think that's what happened.
I like it.
That. So, okay, Jen, I had to point this out. I was shocked because I kind of missed the first time that the earliest date was 1999.
Yeah.
Martha's Vineyard 1999, which means if we are set in present day, which I'm assuming we are, that they have known each other for at least 27 years.
Yeah.
This is a long-term relationship. And the more I think about it, is like, I just kept thinking, oh, I hope they've known each other since they were kids. What if they met at the conversion therapy camp? Like, what if they have, what if they have this really long-standing relationship that could have even started with a friendship and just developed into like, this is my person. Anyway, I love anything that adds to the Carol Helen lore. So I just loved that she had all these dates that were giving us all this context.
I was just like, give it to me, because we don't know that much about the Carol Helen lore, and I just love them so much that it was great to learn a couple little bits of history, and so interesting to see Carol at the point where she's bringing up Helen's name to the hive when she makes this order, because up until now it's been like, you do not mention her, keep her name out of your mouth. But now she's like, I know you know where Helen and I spent our last anniversary. So she's it was interesting. It was an interesting step from her to do that.
Yeah, it feels like kind of like her first step into trying to, I don't want to say trying to deal with it, because she really hasn't had that much opportunity to deal with it in any sort of normal way. But like, she wanted to feel close to Helen. I think this is like, she's so lonely now. Like, I feel like she's like, I need to feel close to the person who meant the most to me. And I feel like this was kind of her way to do that. And I think it works for a little while until it kind of doesn't. And then she kind of, you see it happening, that she just kind of is letting the reality of everything sort of set in, and then has to kind of snap herself out of it. But I had a question. So we had Martha's Vineyard, 1999. We had Helen's birthday, 2008. We had what I first thought were cream puffs, but I looked them up. They're called Maritozzi. with just something.
That's what she said. She said the word Maritosi, and I wasn't sure if that's what they were or that's where it was from. I didn't really know what it was, but they sure looked yummy.
I Googled it, and it says they are iconic Roman sweet buns made from an enriched brioche-style dough, typically flavored with citrus zest and sometimes raisins or pine nuts. Ooh. Sounds delicious.
Sounds delicious. You think that maybe she and Helen had that when they were in Rome or something?
That's what I think. Yeah. They strike me as travelers. Obviously, they went to the freaking Arctic Circle. Like, I feel like you go to the Arctic Circle after you've been many other places.
I would
agree.
That
makes sense. It's not like your first vacation. That's not your first rodeo.
That's not your first outing. No, I think they lived a pretty decent life.
Yeah. I was actually going to ask you, Jen, do you think that she knew that these meals were going to be selected or correct? Because it almost felt like some of them she expected and some of them kind of surprised her. Like when she opened the last one, she was like, yes, like as if she thought they weren't going to get it right or something.
Yeah.
And it made me wonder, did she specifically say, I want this and this and this and this? Or did she say something like, give me Helen's favorite meals? And then she somehow knew, she recognized them. I mean, that's kind of a stretch because I really feel like it would be hard for me to identify a specific meal unless it affected me specifically.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't know. I just, that reaction threw me off a little bit. And I just wonder what you made of it.
The way that she, especially the way she unveiled each dish and announced them as though she was saying it to herself. At first, I kind of thought, oh, yeah, she's just kind of confirming this is what she asked for. But I think the way she does it is more like, this one.
Yeah. This one
from Martha's Vineyard, 1999. Oh, Helen's birthday, 2008. And yeah, I think maybe she was like, she may have just said, give me Helen's favorite meals, quite possibly.
Yeah, I don't know. I just found the whole thing kind of interesting. And I'm curious as to people's thoughts on how those particular meals actually showed up.
And they were all very specific to events and points in time. It wasn't just like, oh, well, I like to eat pizza. It was like these were specific times in their life together, which was kind of very sad.
You know what's interesting too? While we're talking about this, I want to talk about the abilities of the hive's memory, of how the information that they're able to access. Right. Because it's almost like it's not necessarily things that me as a human being with all of the things I am equipped with would be able to remember in the moment. Like when they said Helen has had cotton candy 4 times in her life. Yeah. I don't think if you asked me, Annie, how many times have you had cotton candy in your life, that I could come up with a number. Like I couldn't do that. But obviously if you think of memory a certain way, all of that is in there somewhere. Like it's stored in there. So it's almost like, once again, taking away the humanity of these people, you're taking away their ability to forget.
Very nice. Well put. I think you're absolutely right that their memory almost seems to be like a computer's memory, that they can just access it. Because if I tried to remember my birthday in 2008 and what I had on it, it wouldn't be right there at the top of my mind. So it does seem like it's almost like all that information is in our brains and they access it like a computer.
Yeah, which again brings me the question of like, how is Carol remembering all of this? It's like obviously something really, really important happened on Helen's birthday, 2008. Like that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just, I don't know. I just thought about it. It's like these people are incapable of forgetting. They'll never forget a thing. And that's another just sort of inhuman trait about them, because it's very normal to forget memories, to lose memories.
And to want to in some cases.
Exactly. So anyway, interesting.
Great point.
I love the line when she says, "Those crazy bastards sure can go."
She's feeling it. Whatever she's eating, I want what she's having.
Because it looks like a risotto or something.
She sure is enjoying it. She's getting into that. So yeah, I would enjoy it. And it just like, and immediately after that, sort of, she starts to kind of like look off into kind of the middle distance, and we see the sadness start to set in again as this reality all starts to hit her again.
I think it's one of those things like that we see is like, if you let the silence in too much, if you have too much silence, you can start to lose your mind a little bit. Like you can start to go crazy, and then let the loneliness, like as you say, and the grief back in. And so I feel like, okay, now it makes more sense why she's actually trying to fill the void with all of these songs and maybe talking to herself. And it's interesting because I felt like, once again, as I do with Carol frequently, I felt so seen during this episode because I do that all the time. I have been working from home since COVID. And so I'm alone a lot. And I find myself walking around the house making up songs, like just singing into the void. Usually I try to make it like I'm singing to the pets because that's typically like I'll make up songs.
It makes you feel less crazy, right?
Yeah, it makes me feel less crazy. Like I'm making up songs about the pets and singing them to them. And often I'm doing it without even realizing that I'm doing it. And I'm like, oh my God, if somebody were watching me right now, they would think I were crazy. but it's every day. It's every day.
Yeah. So I mean, we all, it's a great story because I mean, I think a lot of folks feel like that. A lot of folks work from home now. And I worked from home for a couple of years during COVID, but I don't now. But I developed a really, as it turns out, strong habit of talking to myself while I was working, just talking myself through everything I do. And now I'm back in the office. I still keep doing it. I can't seem to stop. It's a little problematic when people are walking by.
I'm curious to see, like, I'm sure at some point I'll be back, in the office. It's just the way things are working right now that I'm at home, but like how I will transition, because I've noticed something that COVID did for me, which plays into the themes of this episode, is it sort of made me really more introverted. Like it brought out my inner introvert. Like I've always been an introvert, but I had to really lean into it. And I'm realizing as things started opening back up again, how much I actually kind of enjoyed the some of the solitude to an extent, to the extent that I start singing to myself. And then I realize, wow, there's no people around and I'm kind of lonely. You know what I mean? So yeah, but I do have the pets, which once again, I think with all of these animals roaming free, I think Carol would do well to get herself a cat or a dog or some sort of companion.
Now we do know for sure that there are animals. I mean, we saw the wolves, we've seen the bunny and the buffalo. We haven't seen any domesticated animals.
No domesticated, yeah. Where are all the dogs and cats?
Where are the dogs and cats? And yeah, they definitely... I feel that Carol would have been able to go much longer if she had had a cat or two, or a couple of dogs, or all four of those. And if she could have, I think, held out a bit longer.
I agree. It's very helpful.
It's very helpful. As a friend of mine described it, it's just having another heartbeat in the house. And that makes a big difference.
It's not the same as human contact, but like you said, I think she could have held out a little longer. I heard too, I don't remember where I heard this, but the theory that letting out all the dogs and cats, the domesticated dogs and cats, led to a lot more quote unquote windfall for.
Oh yeah, I think that's entirely possible. That I'd rather not think about it.
Yeah, but I honestly, it almost feels worse to think that people are eating dogs and cats than each other. How horrible is that to say? But
I mean, I'm with you. I'm an animal lover, and that kind of, it's very disturbing to think about. It at all. So we won't. We're going to move on.
We'll move on. Back to her letting the silence sort of take her over. She can't really handle it. So she gets up and goes to this really cool like player piano.
Love it.
I wonder if this is I've never seen a piano like this before. I mean, I've seen obviously player pianos, but not one with a little iPad on it where you could pick the song and it just plays. But like,
fancy.
Do they do this? Are people not really playing? Are they just faking it?
Oh, I mean, I don't think it's a common thing. I remember walking by a piano like this in an airport once, and it was just playing, and it was kind of but cool. But you could get away with that, couldn't you? You could pretend to be playing when you're not. But
the choice to have this be a player piano when it could just be a regular piano, was an intentional one? You know what I mean? Like,
yes,
it almost feels like, okay, I'm hearing music, but there's no person making it. There's no human being making it with all its flaws and errors and distinctiveness. Like it's just a prepackaged song that is just has been played a million times exactly the same way.
Yeah, great point. Like there's no humanity to it.
Right. And I Will Survive. I didn't notice it right away, but I picked it up like the second time. I was like, oh, yeah, of course. Another one that was perfectly chosen.
And this time, and she chose it herself. Yeah. And gorgeous arrangement, I must say. Never heard a piano arrangement of I Will Survive. Certainly not that kind of like with a lot of flourishes. And honestly, want to hear the whole thing. It was beautiful.
Yeah, I think that's why I didn't place it immediately, because it's not the kind of song I would expect to hear on
It's
a
so
piano.
different.
Yeah.
It just sounded like this very elegant sort of, jazzy classical piano situation, but gorgeous.
But it does tell her state of mind in this moment, which is
Absolutely.
we're pushing forward, she's gonna survive. And I think this was a really good point to leave Carol and head over to Manousos, our man Manousos.
Just just a cut right when she's in the middle of listening to her elegant song at her elegant dinner, and then cut to poor Manousos just trudging down the road with his gas can.
As we mentioned prior, he's walking to find gas wherever he can. He just goes from abandoned car to abandoned car, I suppose. I did not do the math, but I would be curious to see how many times he has had to do this on his journey thus far.
A lot, I would think, because this is a long journey, so he'd need to fill up. I'm guessing that little adorable car does not have a huge gas tank. So he'd have to do it a lot. And who knows how much gas he finds in each vehicle that he comes across. I kind of thought that he was going to take the other vehicle, which to me made more sense. Just take that, just keep changing vehicles.
Right.
But no, he's sticking with his original vehicle. He's going to take some gas.
I think that's, again, another really nice way to tell the story, that we don't really have to hear it, that he's obviously very attached to this car. We know he's very attached to this car. And so it makes what he does to the car later all the more impactful. So
exactly. Yeah. We see how much effort he's making to be able to keep using and driving that car.
Yeah. I love, though, how he's leaving money for taking the gas. It's like, there's no, like, it's a nice contrast with Carol, who's just taking everything because she knows what's up. She knows money has no value anymore. Money has no meaning anymore. There's nothing that I can do other than just take what I need or take what I want. And he obviously does not know that that's necessarily the case. He knows something is wrong with the world. He doesn't know, he doesn't have as much information as Carol. We obviously later hear what he thinks is going on, but he still, is a stand-up guy. And he's like, I'm not going to steal. I'm going to leave some money.
I think that even if he knew what was going on, that even if he knew everything that Carol knew, I think he'd still do it. I think he'd still leave that money, because he is making a very, very clear distinction in his mind between how he behaves and how the hive behaves.
Yeah.
And the hive takes things, and Manousos does not just take things, no matter what the circumstances.
Exactly.
I would describe him as scrupulously moral, which I really admire.
And I'm just, oh my God, I'm just so curious about this character and when he and Carol meet up, which I hope happens next episode. But like, we'll see. We'll see. My original prediction was end of episode 8, right? So we'll see what happens.
I could very well be on track for that.
I hope so. I just really want to see the two of them interact. I'm so eager to see how that goes.
So much.
And slightly concerned, but also excited.
It's as this episode went on, the vision of their meeting changes more and more, didn't it?
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah.
So as he's walking, a man passes in a van, speaking Spanish, obviously. Hola, Manousos. And I love how Hola, Manousos is the new Hello, Carol. Like, it's just,
I like
funny. That. Yeah. And what struck me is how exactly this scene mimics the one in episode 2 where Zosha brings the water to Carol.
Very much, yeah.
It's yet another reminder that there is no Zosha. There is no man in van. There is no Larry in the bike shorts. They're all gone, and they're the same. It's it's unsettling, I think, very intentional to remind us of that scene with Zosha. And he doesn't even give him the time of day. I mean, at least Carol talked to her. Manousos is not even going to acknowledge this, what he thinks is some sort of alien or invader.
Yeah, he's not gonna acknowledge them. The look on his face of like disgust and disdain, it's just palpable.
Really good. Shout out to Carlos Manuel Vesca, who I think is just continuing to kill this role. Like,
absolutely
doing so much with so little. Like, and he has actually a lot to do in this scene or in this episode, but thus far he hasn't had a lot of opportunity to sort of express what's happening, and he just is able to nail it.
I love it. We've seen such little tidbits of him up until now, and I didn't know what it would be like to get to know Manousos, but every scene, I just want to know more and more about him, and we're learning more and more about him, and I kind of love him more and more.
Yeah. And we haven't heard his voice a whole lot, which is nice to hear
No.
him. He has an excuse to talk to himself because he's learning English, which we were right, I guess.
Yeah.
That thing that he was pulling out
Yeah.
was an English translating tape or whatever.
Love it. Love it.
He's
He's working so hard on learning English, and we can assume it's because he wants to be able to speak English when he meets Carol.
Yeah.
He's just so focused on his mission.
Yep.
100% just
nothing will derail him.
His eyes are on the prize. And, Carol is driving around singing while she's driving down the highway, but no Manousos singing. He is learning English. Everything he does is
working
to further his mission.
Yep. So he's, the cat is gray. The yellow dog chases the gray cat. Everything that he's saying, all of the little phrases, have meaning, Jen. Like I don't quite know what they mean, but I feel like that will become clear as the season comes to an end.
I feel like you're right. And the girl saves the mouse from the trap. Very intrigued by that one.
In particular, that one.
Yeah.
But even the yellow dog chases the gray cat. Like the yellow dog would be him. His car is yellow.
Yeah.
And Carol is the cat because, of course, she's the cat.
Yeah. I like that. I like that a lot. He's so determined too. He works so hard, and you can kind of see his English is getting better as the episode goes on. And it's just all day, every day. That's all he's doing is practicing his English while he's shaving. And he is shaving. He's not just letting himself go. He's keeping himself tidy. He's shaving. He's cutting his hair.
He wants to be ready for
He wants to
meeting.
be ready. This is all about being ready. And that's part of it. And I really admire him.
I want to say that I loved this montage. I think this might be my favorite montage in the series since Carol's little drug trip video.
Yeah.
In episode 4. I loved
good.
it so much. Shout out to Chris McCaleb who edited this sequence and to the song choice, which was Esperanza by Hermanos Gutierrez, which is beautiful. Lovely.
Yeah. Is that Spanish for hope? Is that what that word means?
I actually don't know. I thought it was a
I
name.
just know that en français, espérer means hope.
Oh,
so I wondered if that's what it was in Spanish, because I don't speak any Spanish at all. But I will say that I have been listening to that song all morning on a loop, and it is such a great song. I announced to my husband that we are all we're going to listen to in the car from now on is that song over and over again, and he was surprisingly on board with it. So that's how things are going to go around here.
I would go back and forth between this one and then the calf born in winter from episode 5. I'll go back and forth between those two.
Beautiful.
Yeah, very similar vibes.
Yeah.
But I do like how when he's driving through one of the little towns, everyone's like, hola Manousos. And he's just very weirded out by that.
Yeah. He's like, no. He's a very big no on that.
No. And he's swimming upstream. I kind of noticed like everyone's going the opposite direction from him, which I like.
Love that. Love it.
All the cinematography in this sequence is beautiful. Beautiful.
Gorgeous.
When he's siphoning the gas with the hose, which once again brought to mind the X-Files, because I just think of the inbreds in Home, that's how they gas up their car, and it grosses me out. But I know that's probably not a direct reference because this happens a lot. But
this is something people do.
Yeah, but it just made me think of that. I did notice, though, in that scene that he's in Peru because that's what the license plate said. So you can kind of little visual cues that show you where he is in his journey.
I liked that. Yes. As well as the beautiful graphic of the map. Yeah. Beautifully done. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's saying, the world is big.
Yeah. It's so good.
Very true.
And the world is big. I mean, that's a glorious shot along the coastline when he's saying that. Just absolutely stunning.
Oh my God. Yeah, this whole thing, I could just watch this montage on loop. It was just so beautiful.
Yeah, just really, really beautifully done. And I know that they mentioned in the official podcast how much effort even Adam Bernstein, the director, put into finding these locations, that he just went out on his off days and found these great locations. And they really put a lot of effort into finding the perfect location that you could shoot from the perfect location.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting too, because there's a lot of this series that focuses simply on Carol figuring this thing out in Albuquerque in her home. But for a show that has a lot of that, like the scope of this thing is so big. Like we've gone to so many different places, and the world has been expanded so much in so many episodes that it's I just love the world is big. Like it's
the
really
world
nice.
is Definitely big. And when you're driving across South America, it certainly emphasizes how big it
Yeah.
really is. And it was interesting to see these hive mind people in other countries, which we saw a little bit of in episode 2, The Pirate Lady, when we saw a little bit of the hive mind family members, but it was interesting to see them in their home countries and how they behave. So it just kind of emphasized how much of a worldwide phenomenon this is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that they obviously are all still staying put in certain areas. There's other areas that maybe they're not staying put. I just would be really curious to see where everyone has kind of migrated. Like, where are all the people living? They're obviously not exactly where they always were, because maybe there are people that have moved from dangerous places or poverty-stricken places. They've moved into places that have more, that are safer, you know. But
interesting question.
But again, I mean, there is no more poverty, so you know. But there are definitely places that are maybe more dangerous to live that they've probably.
I would think from a practical perspective, they would move them around a little bit. But we know that there's no one driving on the highways, it appears, so there's not a lot of transportation going on.
Right. It's just really interesting to think about what all the hive people are actually doing.
I could just go through an entire season of just here's what the hive mind were doing in every episode, because I'm just fascinated by how they operate.
Yeah. The other things that he says are, if they're relevant, I'm just bringing them up. Today, I am not going to the library. Tomorrow, yes, to the library I will go. That was one of them.
While it's pouring rain.
It's pouring rain, and he's collecting rainwater to drink, which is very resourceful of him. And then, to whom do the coats belong? Was the other one.
Yeah. First of all, shout out for correct use of grammar there. To whom do the coats belong? Appreciate it as a grammar stickler. But again, that sense of possession and ownership. Interesting.
Yeah, that's true. That's a really good point. And then, as you said, the girl saves the mouse from the trap. We'll come back to that later, because I do think that that's a prophetic phrase that must be discussed.
It feels prophetic.
Yes. So he finally gets to the Darien Gap. And I was going to ask you, Jen, do you think that, like, I don't know if this is obviously something I didn't know about. I'd never heard of it. Is this something that people who live in South America are very aware of? Because when he arrives, he seems almost kind of surprised or like disappointed that it's there and that he has to stop. It's not like he's planned it out. Like, you know what I mean?
He knew. I suspect he knew. I think it's a fairly well-known location because it's what prevents there from being a road that goes from South America all the way up through to North America.
Right.
I do agree that he seemed a little perturbed, but I got the feeling it was kind of like he knew it was coming, and he was just a little disappointed that was it. That I think he had driven as far as he could. I think he had probably driven off-road for a fair bit, maybe.
Yeah.
And he was just disappointed that he couldn't off-road it any longer. And it's like, okay, well, I guess this is it then. Now I really do have to walk.
Yeah. So these people come out of the jungle, basically.
They just kind of emerge in a very creepy way.
In a very creepy way. And again, I wonder, like, are they waiting for him? They know he's going there, and they're all poised in wait, which is going to come up later. So once again, the hive sounding exactly like Zosha, just dispensing facts, fun facts, trying to basically to convince him not to. They're going to do whatever they can for him. We'll take you to Carol. We know you're going to see Carol. We'll take you there. Like, they're going to give him everything he wants.
Yeah, he is not impressed to hear that they know exactly where he's going either, is he? He hears that and his head just snaps around, and that is not going to win him over.
Yeah, and he's not in any way interested in them helping him, which kind of breaks my heart, because considering the events that transpire in the next few weeks, like if he had just let them take him to Carol, I have a feeling things would be very, very different in episode 8.
Absolutely would have, and it kind of breaks my heart that what could have been, and if he had trusted them, they probably would have done that. We know from what Carol's interaction with them have been like, that there's no reason to think that they wouldn't have given him exactly what he wanted, but he didn't know that. He doesn't trust them, and I think I think just on principle does not want to take a damn thing from them.
Yeah, I think even if he did believe they would do that, he wouldn't take it anyway. So
he's just very, very determined, and gotta respect it.
Yeah,
I respect the hustle.
I respect it too, and once again, it's like the same way I felt back when Carol was denying their help and denying all of these and very determined and acting a certain way. I can understand all of even though I think he's obviously making a mistake, I don't necessarily look at it as, you stupid, why are you acting like that? No, I would never look at it like that. I understand everything he's doing.
Yeah, no, by no means. And it was interesting how Carol, with relatively quickly, learned to accept help from the Hive people and didn't really have an issue with it because, she was very resistant at first, but after a while realized, I don't have much choice here.
Right.
But she just seems more comfortable with that kind of a situation. She's lived a comfortable life. So she's used to certain comforts, and it wouldn't occur to her to do, to go full survival mode.
To go without. Yeah, exactly.
Whereas Manousos maybe has gone without, or at least is more willing to go without. So he's willing to take this much farther than Carol did.
Absolutely. So they say, hey, we can take you there. We can even take your car. And, to the Hive's credit, I still never really quite know what the hive mind, and when I say the hive mind, I mean like the entity controlling these people, what the actual motivations are. Yeah. We talked a lot about that in the last episode. If people want to go back and check that out, we had a lot of interesting theories about what their motivations are for what they're doing for the planet. But they do, to their credit, sound genuinely concerned about Manousos. They really do not want him to go here. And obviously the reason they don't want him to go is not because they don't want him to get to Carol. That's obvious. They don't care if he gets to Carol. But like, they really just don't want him to hurt himself.
Yeah. I think it's genuine. And we know those of us who have done research on the Darien Gap in the past week, it is genuinely very dangerous and very difficult to pass through. So we know that what they're saying is true. They're not misleading him.
Yeah.
And then Manousos' response to them, I just love it. It's the first time we really hear him speak to any great length. We heard him very briefly speak to Carol when she was on the plane on the phone.
Right.
But this is, and he spoke very briefly to his mother, quote unquote.
Correct.
But this is the first time we hear really him hit this many sentences from him.
True feelings, yeah.
His true feelings, to hear him really speak. And I'm going to read everything he said because I just love it so much. And it's a very interesting insight into what his theories are about what's going on. He says, nothing on this planet is yours. Nothing on this planet is yours. Nothing. You cannot give me anything because all that you have is stolen. You don't belong here. I love it because it's a very clear point of view that they are not human and that they are not from that planet. That's how I'm reading that. And that he seems very confident about that they are invaders. They don't belong here. They have stolen everything. And I just love the confidence and the strength with which he says that. I love how focused he is on that as a principle and a philosophy. He knows, it seems that in his mind at least, he knows exactly what's happening here. There's no question in his mind about who these people are and what's going on. And I also find it interesting and I don't know if this was at all intentional, but I also found it an interesting sort of a colonialist vibe, this idea.
Yep. I was going to say, on a deeper level, that's the vibe I'm getting here of the meaning of what he's saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, the idea of, those of us who are of settler descent living in North America and South America to, you cannot give me anything because all that you have is stolen. Yeah. All that I have is stolen. And so it raises an interesting image in the mind of, well, is this what's going on now? Is this what's happening on a planetary scale, that we're being colonized? And it's the first time we've heard that kind of language, and it's done in such a compelling and effective way.
Yeah, and once again, it's just the broad scope of what this show can do with its commentary, even in just a small moment like that. Like, who knows if the anti-colonialist message is going to continue, but here and now it's very, very relevant, and we're aware that I think that's what they're kind of trying to go for here. So
yeah, definitely feels that way. And very compelling. Loved it. I mean, just he's full of defiance, and I love that. And what he does next, of course, is a tremendous act of defiance when they're all, we'll transport your car. And he's like, oh, you think this car matters to me? I'll show you how much it matters to me.
Right.
And the way that he burns the car it's such a statement, because it's an act of defiance in a way, and it's also maybe a way of preventing them from taking it.
Right.
Like, you're not having this.
You can't have my car. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Like, I'd rather burn it than let you have it.
Yeah.
That's just, again, just so much strength coming from him, and just not a moment's pause. I don't think he was necessarily planning to do that, because he has to go into the trunk of the car to pull out the gas. But as soon as they mention the idea of transporting the car, he's like, oh, no fucking way are you touching this. Yeah.
I agree. I don't think that was the plan. I think he was just going to leave it there. But then when he realizes that, oh, maybe they have the ability to take my car, I'm not going to let them have it. Yeah, I agree.
I just love it. Everything he does is so metal, to use that term. Yes. Everything is just balls to the wall. He just nothing, no hesitation. Everything is extreme. And you know what? This is an extreme situation. And this is the time when you got to do extreme stuff. Good for him.
And I think you're right when you say that it's pretty clear he thinks these are aliens. Like, just straight up, he thinks this is an alien takeover, which is interesting. He didn't get the message from Jake Taffler. He doesn't know anything that's going on. But Carol, or not Jake Taffler. What was it with Davis Taffler? I don't know why I said Jake Taffler, but
I kind of like Jake Taffler.
It sounds like Jake Tapper, who is my new boyfriend.
Yeah.
That's probably why.
Okay. That's good to know.
But I think that's interesting. Like, how much sort of sci-fi background does he have to immediately think that, which I think is really funny.
I mean, I love it. And it'll be interesting to see, of course, as the series goes on, how accurate is he. But when I love the fact that when he's speaking to them, it's like, I'm not speaking to humans right now. I'm speaking to the entity.
Whatever you are. You're not, I'm not one of them. And I love this too, because this whole following sequence, which there's no music, it's just silence. So we can just hear his little mantra over and over again. Which is, my name is Manousos Oviedo. I am not one of them. I wish to save the world. And definitely giving me some Princess Bride vibes. Were you getting that as well?
Bit,
For sure. Even the same sort of rhythm, the same meter.
I think it is.
But I was picturing him coming up to Carol and literally, like, he's practicing the first thing he's going to say to her.
He knows exactly what he's going to say when he shows up on her doorstep. And I love how it starts off as practice. Like, he wants to make sure he's got it perfect. He wants to make like this really nice impression. But then as it goes on, it's like this mantra that kind of helps him to keep going, something to keep motivating himself.
Right. Which is something Carol needs right now and does not have.
She needed a mantra.
She needed something. I do like the little tiny stumble he takes is a nice little plant to lead us into what ultimately happens. And I didn't pick up on it in the first time. No. Probably because his fall felt so natural / unexpected, but adding the stumble, I think, creates that realism that he's he's not being as careful as he should be, and that's going to happen.
He's exhausted, he's malnourished, he's dehydrated, he's may not be an experienced hiker at all. So, and he's been doing this for days and days. We don't know how long at this point.
We don't know how far. I would be curious to see how far in he actually got. I don't know if we're ever going to learn that, but
may not. But it looked like it was pretty far. He went through a lot.
Yeah. And they had warned him about various dangers in the jungle. Again, this just occurred to me. This also made me think of Princess Bride. Like, if you go into the woods, you're going to run into the sand, the quicksand, and the rodents of unusual size, and the whatever else they have. Yeah, the fire swamp. That's what it was. The fire swamp. Yeah. This is basically his proverbial fire swamp.
Yes.
But I was just, when we saw the chunga palms, which are these trees with the spikes coming out, first of all, both my husband and my daughter were like, wait, what is that? Like, they thought maybe it was some trap set. Like it wasn't something natural. It was something unnatural. Right. And I remembered, I don't know where or how I knew that these trees existed, but I was like, those are just real trees with spikes like that. They're like, they do not want to they don't want anything coming near them. I guess they were just, they evolved that way.
That is a hell of a defense mechanism.
Yeah. But all I remember saying too is they had brought up spiders, and I was like, I am just so glad it wasn't spiders, Jen, because I would not have been able to handle that.
I know your ways with spiders. I wouldn't have been able to handle it much better. So yeah, if it had to be something, might as well be spikes.
I'm glad it was this tree, because it was also a nice parallel with the belladonna, the George O'Keeffe thing, which I wanted to look back in. Kind of a nice little parallel there. They're both poisonous plants.
Love it. Love it. And I mean, he's trying so hard to get around them, and he's being so careful.
Yeah.
And, you know, my husband and I are sitting there saying, oh, don't touch it. Don't touch it. And I was just worried he might like prick his little finger or something.
Oh, yeah.
But it was not a finger prick in the end. It was so much worse.
And I watched this 3 times. It got me so each time I felt it. God.
Honestly, I think I got it worse every time I watched it. It was just so perfectly filmed, the little trip, and then he's trying to grab the vine.
Yeah.
He tries so hard, and then there's no hope. He's back against, it's like falling on a bed of nails. It's just like, God. I feel the pain.
It reminded me of the bit in Better Call Saul when Kim got into her car accident. It's like every time I'm expecting it, and it still gets me each time.
Right. It just gets you, right? It's kind of, just really, really well done.
And I have to throw out another X-Files reference. When he fell back, I also thought of Mulder falling on the bed of nails. The bed of nails.
Humbug, right?
Humbug, and saying it was more comfortable than a futon.
Yeah.
And this is certainly not more comfortable than a futon.
Definitely not more comfortable than a futon. Just the falling on it looks incredibly painful. The getting off them was clearly incredibly painful. Everything about it just kept getting worse.
And you could see him as he continued to try. Well, he, first of all, is, oh my God, taking this hot machete or whatever to cauterize the wounds.
Oof.
To prevent infection, I guess. Like, I'm not up on survival tactics, but I'm guessing that's why he's doing that.
That's my best guess,
keep it from bleeding out, first of all, but also maybe to prevent an infection or to try to prevent infection. But I don't think he does that very well, because it's pretty clearly getting infected.
Yeah, he is screwed.
This guy, and I remember thinking, I didn't remember right off the top the shot of the helicopter, but when we saw it, I remember going, of course, that's what the helicopter, that's going to come in and save him. They're watching him every step of the way. He's going to be okay, but I know he's not going to be happy about this.
Not going to be. He genuinely would rather have died than to be rescued by them, for sure.
I agree, and I do like no choice at all. Because he probably would have told them no if he had the strength to.
He would have. Did you notice? I didn't notice this until I put the closed captioning on the second time I watched it, where he's saying Carol's name as he's passing out.
I didn't either. I noticed it with the captions on. But Carol Sturka, he's
broke my heart. He just,
me too.
She is like a savior to him. Mm-hmm. She is just this larger than life, almost like Messiah figure. I think about, and I might be reaching a bit, but I think about the parallel with this, like he's got the religious icon in his car of, I think, the Virgin Mary. And I think he's got this kind of almost religious sort of image of what Carol's going to be like, that he's this very sort of godlike figure, and I fear that she may not be quite as godlike as he's imagining.
As godlike as Ray Seahorn is to us, I don't think Manousos is going to feel that way.
I don't think he's going to feel that way when he gets there, sadly. Because the only version of Carol he knows is the version on the first video. And that was when Carol she was pretty hyped at that point in terms of making progress, being able to save the world. She didn't know anything about how the others had been responding to her at that point. And she was really onto something. That was when she was pretty energetic and pretty determined, not very different from what he is like now. So he's imagining that she's still like that. Why wouldn't he?
Yeah. And also, I just thought of this, the good luck and Godspeed might come back to bite her in the butt as he takes that as a religious reference, that like maybe she is religious as well. And I keep wondering if that's going to kind of be a source of discord between them.
And good luck and Godspeed was like, he took that to heart. He was like, yes, I will. Godspeed to me as I travel across the continents.
Right.
Yeah. Wow.
All right. Well, let's go back to Carol. And Jenn, I think that this 48 days Chiron shocked me probably more than anything in the series so far.
Right. To have a time skip. It's the first time we've had anything like that. I was totally shocked.
And so doing the math real quick, about 5 weeks have passed.
Okay.
And she's on the roof of some building, which could be many buildings that we've seen in Better Call Saul or Breaking Bad. It just gave me those vibes.
Kind of did, eh? Yeah.
But she's playing her 2006 Booyah jams.
I noticed that, yeah. Because, I mean, there's no Spotify anymore, right? So she's got to pull out the old CDs.
Thank God she has one. Like, I couldn't do this. Like, I don't have any way to play a CD. I don't have CDs. I might still have some CDs. I have some of my dad's collection still. But I don't have like anything to play them on. I mean, I'm sure she could find something. Maybe she found it in someone's house or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I do want to know what else is on Booyah jams. I mean,
I kind of do. I'll
Judas
take that
Priest,
whole thing. Yeah.
Like so loud. It's like you don't need to see anything to know the state of mind that she's in. It's
absolutely.
Really
She's not singing to herself anymore.
No.
She's just blasting Judas Priest. And instead of playing golf at a nice country club golf course, she's smashing windows. It's all destruction at this point. She's not really having fun anymore.
No, but I do like though, because they very easily could have had her very clearly altered in her her face.
I was thinking that too. I was thinking they could have had her looking a lot rougher, her hair could look like shit, and it's interesting that they chose not to go that route, which would have been kind of obvious, but it's the clues in her behavior and her emotion.
Right. And I think Ray played it very well in terms of just this is very kind of neutral. This is neutral. She's kind of been lulled into this state of numbness, I think. And we don't really know what to think at this point. Like,
I think that as it goes along, as this segment goes along, that yes, numbness I think is a good word, and it's very much I think how someone who's profoundly depressed would present, and I think that she plays it really well.
Oh, and we should be keeping up with our stages of grief because
right.
I have a feeling that, I mean, anger, that's a lot of Carol. We got that.
We've had lots of anger. Yeah.
Yeah. But also the bargaining. I feel like the bargaining aspect of grief is her kind of giving in to to taking some of what they're offering, you know, like to survive, to live. And then we have now entered full depression stage.
For sure.
That's where we're at. And also we don't know what's been going on for these past 5 weeks. Like there could be more of that happening in there. Like,
it's really interesting. I mean, this is another point they made on the official podcast about how they made the choice not to show the descent of her emotional state, but just to skip ahead to where it's basically already happened. And I think that Jenn Carroll, the writer, expressed it really, really well on the podcast when she said, sometimes when you sort of break mentally, it doesn't necessarily happen gradually. Sometimes it does just happen all of a sudden. And so we can just imagine as the audience, when did that happen? How did that happen? We don't necessarily have to see. We just have to see the outcome. And I find it interesting also that I think a more sort of common or typical way to do an episode like this where we're showing two sort of parallel journeys would have been to switch back and forth between the two. So it was curious to me that they showed it was all Carol at the beginning, then all Manousos, and then Carol again at the end. No switching back and forth, which I actually really liked because it meant that you could get fully immersed into each of their journeys. And I think that if they'd been switching back and forth between Manousos and Carol, I feel like you would have been less invested in what Carol was going through because it's life and death with Manousos. And as much as what Carol is experiencing is significant and interesting to watch, it's kind of hard to compete with a guy who's going through a jungle.
Well, and I agree with you, but I think it also could have come across in the opposite way. It also could have lightened what Manousos was going through.
Yeah,
So I think that was definitely the right call. It never even occurred to me as something that they could have done because this was just perfect as is. But you're right. That is something they could have done, and I'm glad they didn't. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're back with Carol, and she's been through it.
She's been through it. I mean, I wonder what she's been up to this entire time. I'm very curious, but I don't need to see it. I get everything I need. She's still shooting off her fireworks, which makes me wonder, man, I don't know if this was a weekly thing or a nightly thing, but she still is
How
not.
often does she do the fireworks? It's like, there's not a lot of entertainment, I guess, so the fireworks are it.
And I mean, it's not like she couldn't have driven and gotten more from various gas stations.
Yeah,
so
I feel like she's developed she's developed a bit of a fireworks habit, I think, perhaps.
Yeah, she's addicted to fireworks.
I mean, honestly, I've gone through times like that where like my mental health is not great and I just get into this one thing, and for some reason that's just kind of that's the only thing that's kind of interesting to me for a period of time. And maybe that's just that's her state of mind at the moment. She doesn't want to read. She doesn't want to do anything. Fireworks are the only thing that kind of bring her any kind of feeling at this point.
Well, I don't necessarily think she's not doing other things. Like, I have a feeling if next episode, when we go into her house, there's going to be like puzzles everywhere. There's going to be Legos everywhere. There's going to be murals on the wall. Like, it's going to look like her brain. It's going to look like the inside of her brain.
Could be. I mean, I'd be curious. I kind of, my headcanon is that she just was doing very little except for destroying things and setting off fireworks, which is kind of a kind of destruction as well, because I feel like maybe she just didn't have the mental strength anymore or motivation to be creative or to do intellectual things. The way that you might get when you're depressed, you just can't think, you're just in this kind of fog. So that's what I'm imagining.
It could have started that way and then deteriorated. So I feel like she could have had plenty of time where she was attempting to be creative and intellectual, and then it just kind of fell apart. All to say, I that's a lot of hours of the day to fill up with hitting golf balls. Like, I feel like she's not just sitting in the house and staring at the wall. At least she wasn't for the first half of this amount of time.
I'd be happy to have watched every single one of those days to see what she did.
Yeah, if we go into the house next week and see that like there really nothing has changed, I'll be surprised. I will say.
I'm going to be curious to see.
Yeah, even if it's just an absolute mess, like if it looks like a hovel,
that would be significant too. Because when she was going through her Golden Girls phase, as we can call it, things were getting a little bit dark, literally, and there was kind of stuff kind of all over the coffee table and things like that. So we know that she can get like that.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see how they handle that.
For sure.
While she's having her little fireworks moment, and Jen, this scene really affected me. This was like another waterworks moment, where you see she's at her absolute lowest.
Yeah.
And she doesn't look, like she's been crying, or she just looks checked out, and then that slow drift on her was so unsettling. When the firework kind of falls and is pointing right at her.
Yeah, which I'm just going to point out for clarification, because I'm not sure if every viewer necessarily picked up on this. Definitely an accident that firework fell over. This was not planned.
Right. I haven't seen anyone saying that, but I believe you that maybe people think that.
I saw a couple.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it just falls. And I mean, I think it's her way of thinking maybe this is the universe's way of just saying this is how it needs to end. Yep. And it's really devastating to see. And I mean, look, got to get political again for a moment, because
do it,
Jen, I just call it like I see it. I just think it's very, very meaningful that while she's contemplating suicide, we hear Stars and Stripes Forever.
It is interesting musical choice.
The state of America right now, man, sometimes just makes you want to end it all. It's true.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah. But anyway, tour de force here by Ray Seahorn. Once again.
Gorgeous. And yet there were so many choices she could have made in terms of how Carol was going to respond and how she was going to behave in that moment. And just like you say, the profound sort of depression, the way she's checked out, and this kind of like, well, this acceptance of maybe this is for the best. It's done in a very subtle way, and there's not a look of distress necessarily. It's much deeper than that. It's a deep down kind of despair, and we see it, and the kind of like, oh well, if this is how it ends, this is how it ends. Maybe there's a little tiny sort of death wish feeling in her mind, and it's like, well, let's just do it.
Well, and also there might even be an element of, even if this doesn't kill me, at least somebody will come.
Maybe. That's an interesting theory as well. At least it's something different. Like, I'm so sick of every day being exactly the same.
Yeah.
Then whatever happens here. Let's just see. If it kills me, fine. If it doesn't kill me, fine. Let's just see. I don't think she necessarily needed it to kill her, but she was fine if it did.
That's exactly how I feel. I don't think she decided in that moment, I want to die. I don't think that was what was happening. I think she decided, if I do, oh well. Like,
I'm ready.
Exactly.
I'm ready to die if that's what happens.
And so, you know, luckily for us and for Carol, it zips right past her and she barely even moves. I would love to know how they filmed this, because looks like it went right past her. It probably was a dummy or something, but like, it looked perfect. The way her hair blew and she didn't move at all. Yeah.
I loved it. I mean, I was guessing that it was maybe a CGI, like a digital effect, because I mean, I've learned from hearing the behind the scenes on the show how much of their digital effects are so well done that I don't recognize that that's what they are. But yeah, the way her hair blew though, so great. And perfect reaction.
Something else real going on there. Yeah.
Might have been, but they definitely, whatever they did, it reminds me of what they said about the scene where she hits the golf ball into the office building and lands on the desk. Yeah. And the glasses get knocked off. Apparently the golf ball is digital, but someone literally has a string on those pair of glasses and pulled them off. So this combination of the digital and practical, they do such a beautiful job with that.
Yeah, totally. So her house then starts lighting on fire with the fireworks. And again, the way she just sort of calmly stands up and looks at it kind of curiously, like, do I bother? And then probably just more practically than anything else thinking, I guess if I don't put this fire out, I'm not going to have anywhere to sleep tonight. So I might as well go do it. Like, it's literally like she has zero fucks to give. Like, she just doesn't even care. But
I felt kind of different about it. Like, I mean, I think she does have zero fucks to give, generally speaking, but I think the moment when she turns on the water that's like a watershed, no pun intended. That's like a watershed moment. That's the moment when she chooses to live, basically. And it's like, she could have chosen to let it burn down, or she could have chosen to put it out, and she decides to put it out. And I feel like that's the moment when she decides, okay, I'm going to get myself out of this funk depression, and I'm going to move forward.
About what she's going to do the next day. Like, she's kind of starting her, I like that. Yeah.
It's a change of mindset, at least. I don't know if she's thinking that far ahead, maybe, but I think her mindset has sort of, a switch has been flicked maybe in that moment.
Okay.
That's the way I took it.
I do like that interpretation. Okay. Because it does make sense, because the next day she goes to the hardware store. Once again, a different hardware store, but
she loves her trips to the hardware store. And I thought she was just going to get stuff to fix up her house.
Me too. I was kind of thinking that's what she was doing. She still does look very kind of exhausted and like broken. Sure. She looks very broken.
She's so worn down. She looks very psychologically worn down, which is exactly what you would be at this point, and exactly what I think the Hive wanted.
Exactly what they wanted. I mean, this is her solitary confinement, as we said. Like, she is going through psychological torture.
Yeah.
So she is now painting. She goes in to look at the painting, I think, right? The Georgia O'Keeffe, briefly.
Yeah, well, she does her painting first, and then goes to look at the Georgia O'Keeffe painting.
Okay, yeah, you're right. I know it was after, but I didn't know if it was right before, because I was thinking, is she painting a big mural? Is she being creative? Like, I was trying to figure out what she was doing. I mean, I didn't know.
Great, of course, the way they film it, we know she's painting something.
And
on the concrete, on the asphalt, on the road, but we don't know what it is.
I think because it was white, my brain went there, because she chose white.
Yeah. It's an and I don't think that's a coincidence either. I think there is maybe there's obviously a correlation, because we see that painting in the next scene. So I think there's a correlation between this kind of imagery of painting something in white.
So okay, let's talk about this moment, Jen, because she is painting. What we find are the words "come back."
Mm-hmm. No, please again, I will point out, but you know what? We wouldn't want to.
No. And that's a lot more work too. So there's that. But
you got to be sensible.
A lot of people are saying too, why didn't she just pick up the phone and call? But I think she needed to make a grand gesture, like to show them that this was serious and that this, whatever they were doing, had worked, and she was done.
Think so too. Yeah. I was wondering the same thing myself, about, because she could have very easily just picked up the phone, and she knows that. But yeah, I think it is like a big gesture, an apology. And I think I also wonder on some level Carol just didn't want to say the words. Like, that's just not her style. Yeah. She couldn't quite bring her to say it, but she could bring herself to do it.
To write it, yeah. And this is why I brought up that smile earlier when she's looking at the painting, because she's looking at the painting here now, and we're in a very different frame of mind. She's in a very different frame of mind. And I thought about what she said on her video about enjoy that opinion because it might be the last one you ever have. And when happiness and peace or whatever is forced upon you, you might wish that you still had that or something like that.
Yeah.
I thought of that when she was staring at the painting here, because I was thinking she's probably like, okay, I have nothing else to do but sort of give myself over to this. And I'm not suggesting give herself over to the hive, but giving in to what she hadn't really previously allowed herself to do. And maybe sort of in that moment reflecting on how much more time do I possibly have to have a unique individual thought. That was kind of how I took that scene of her looking at the painting.
I love that. I love that interpretation. She is just kind of, there is such a really great parallel between how she looked at it in the first half and how she's looking at it now in terms of how significant her mental decline has been.
Yeah.
And I like that idea that maybe this is the last chance she has to form an opinion and to think for herself.
Yeah.
And how aware she is of that, I don't really know. But there is a sense of surrender, a sort of not a good surrender, but kind of this is it. I guess this is my only option.
Yeah. And I also took this as, if you disagree with me or agree with me, that like this, not very much time passed before Zosha shows up. It was just a few minutes, which makes me think
so.
Zosha must have been, or the body of Zosha must have been nearby this entire time.
You kind of think that she might even have been in town, right? Because she's there very quick. She's there. There's no sense, to me at least, of a significant passage of time.
I agree. And I mean, she literally goes in on the couch and is waiting. So, I mean, it couldn't have been more than an hour. I want to say it was a few minutes. Like,
could easily have been.
My point is that Zosha has been nearby this entire time, which just kind of made me feel mad. It made me mad. It made me feel like this all was so much more manipulative than we had previously thought. And then Jen, like, okay, we got to talk about this because I watched this 3 times. It hit me differently each time. The first time I watched this scene, when Zosha's out there, I was very unsettled by her smile. It didn't look genuinely happy to me. It looked kind of like, I want to use the word smug. I want to use the word kind of like very faintly, but kind of like, well, it happened. We knew this would happen. We've been waiting for this to happen. Here I am. It didn't, and it kind of creeped me out. But Zosha in general, I have an issue. I have a struggle with Zosha. I know you love Zosha. I'm having a struggle loving Zosha because I don't see her as a person. I don't see her as an individual. I don't think I'm supposed to. She is the hive. She's not Zosha. We don't know Zosha. We have no clue who Zosha even is. She is some new entity acting as the hive who is manipulating Carol. And so the scene read to me as a big manipulation. Carol runs out. Carol's, I think, very broken. Her feelings are genuine. She is so starved for touch and human contact that she grips her like so tightly as if like she's the life preserver.
Yeah, she's the life preserver. Carol really is drowning at this point, in the way that she's gasping as she grabs onto Zosha. It is like someone who's drowning.
But she's drowning because of a situation they put her in. We can't forget that.
They have created that situation. And yes, I am in love with Zosha. But I'm feeling my feelings towards her are cooling now because of how this all went, because of how this episode went. And at first when she showed up, I'm like, yay, Zosha, I'm so happy to see you. And we haven't seen anything of her for the last 2 episodes. I wasn't sure when we were going to see her again. And my first reaction is to be happy because I'm in love with Zosha. But then the more I thought about it, it was kind of like, yeah, but she's part of she's them. She is what did this. She and all of her hive mind pals did this to Carol. And I can't really love her the way that I did before. I can't help but being still somewhat in love with her just because it's just how it is between me and Zosha. But I feel I'm wary of her now. And, I really was very big on Carol and Zosha forming a friendship. I wasn't really shipping them in the usual sense, but I was friendshipping them. And I loved that idea. But I love it a lot less now because my feelings towards the Hive have hardened in the course of watching this episode and what they did to Carol, because there's one person I love more than Zosha, and that's Carol. And if you hurt my Carol, then you're not my friend anymore. And so, yeah, I like your interpretation that her smile was a bit smug, and maybe it was. I think that's a good interpretation.
Well, and I mean, look, even if you don't read it as smug, if you read it as just Zosha, just a Zosha smile, which still is not an individual to me, it's still weird. Everything about the way she's acting with her right now. If you imagine Carol having not seen anyone in weeks and then a real human being there that's happy to see her, imagine that scene right now. Yeah. Imagine how that scene would go. And it was nothing like this. And so that's why I feel like this scene is so unsettling to me. Like I see it as kind of, I don't know. I don't think we're supposed to walk away thinking, yay, they're reunited. I think we're supposed to walk away thinking this is not good. Because look, it feels like the Hive has broken her down purposefully. They have all the power in this situation. And as I told you, like I've been reading a lot of, or rereading and revisiting a lot of dystopian fiction lately, because that's my vibe. And I am reminded of this quote from 1984, and I wanted to read it to you.
Let's hear it.
How does one man assert power over another? By making him suffer. Power is inflicting pain and humiliation. Otherwise, you cannot be sure. Power is tearing human minds apart and putting them together again in new shapes of your own choosing.
Well done.
What are they doing here if not that?
Absolutely. That's so bang on. Good choice. And that's exactly what's happening here. And the embrace between Carol and Zosha is not one of, to me, of joy and human connection. It is like a drowning person hanging on to a life preserver. It's desperation. It's mental breakdown. It's the way that a torturer might comfort their victim. It is unsettling, I think. And I get this sense of victory on the part of Zosha that, this is what we wanted.
Yeah. Of Zosha / the Hive.
Yeah. It's hard to watch. As a Zosha fan, it was hard for me to watch because it's like, I have to be realistic. Zosha's not what I wanted her to be.
Yeah, and I'm very curious to see what's to come. I'm not suggesting that our minds cannot change, because they can, obviously, from episode to episode. But yeah, it's okay. I'm curious to hear that you took that scene kind of the same way that I did. I wonder, who knows what the intent is. I feel like that we are not supposed to be happy about this, because particularly when Manousos returns and sees that Carol has sort of given in a little bit to the Hive here. I mean, she's not in a Diabate situation, but I mean, she's probably well on her way. Like I from just the tiny little blurb from next episode and looking at what's supposed to be happening, it seems like Carol and Zosha are going to be bonding or getting closer together. And I feel like, I mean, obviously this is Carol bonding with the Hive, but it's like, is Carol going to make a mistake? Is Carol going to let her loneliness and touch starvedness get in the way? I mean, I'm picturing things. I'm picturing things happening that I don't think are going to be good things, and I'm worried for Carol. I'm just worried for Carol.
I'm worried for Carol, and I'm worried for the state of the world, because honestly, she was our best hope. And the fact that maybe this is the path that she appears for the moment to be going down, it's worrisome. It's worrisome. And it's one of those things that for me, it's just giving me a little cognitive dissonance, because it's like, this is what I wanted. Like back in episodes maybe 2, 3, 4, maybe, Carol and Zosha being pals was kind of like, yeah, nice. But no, not anymore. That makes me feel uneasy now. So... But we know that there is somewhere out there. Manousos is somewhere. Where is he? We don't know. He's been gone for a long time. We don't know how long he's been in the clutches of the hive. One hopes getting medical treatment, but who knows what kind of treatment he's receiving. Could be some kind of conversion therapy. Who knows?
Are they injecting him with, are they getting the stem cells while he's out?
Who knows, right?
I mean, it's not going to hurt him if he's unconscious, so they can do it.
That's a really good point, and he doesn't have to consent in that case, so who knows what they've been doing. But I'm guessing for the purposes of the story, it'll be most interesting if he eventually comes and confronts Carol to some degree as himself, and Manousos will essentially represent what Carol was like, and up against the new Carol, so to speak, what Carol has been turned into by her ordeal. Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see what comes of that.
Yeah, like if he can snap her back. Like,
if anyone can do it, it has to be him.
Yeah, and I hope that's kind of the direction that this season's going to take, but I honestly have no idea. Like, and I love to be surprised from season or episode to episode. I never really know what they're going to throw at me, and I always am happy to get it. So whatever they want to do, I am here for it. I just
absolutely,
I feel somewhat like the way I've been feeling about Zosha this entire time was a little bit vindicated in this episode, because
I'll say nothing.
I mean, I'm just saying, because I do not think, as it stands, Carol can have a genuine friendship or relationship with Zosha. I don't think that's possible unless you look at what Diabate's doing and say that's genuine, that he's genuinely happy, which he very well may be, but none of those relationships are real.
Yeah. So or consensual.
Exactly. You can't say it for him and then not say it for her. So it's unsettling. And again, I'm all for meeting the real Zosha. I just don't know when and how and if that's going to happen.
I live in hope that that the real Zosha is going to come out at some point, and then I'm going to be allowed to love her again.
I mean, hopefully. We don't even know anything about her. Like,
I know. She might turn out to be a total bitch. We'll find out.
Right. What if she's a horrible person? We don't know. It's like,
I don't know. Who knows? And I mean, there's a lot of Pluribus to come. We only have, tragically, 2 more episodes to come in this season.
I know. I can't believe it's only 2.
But there's going to be Pluribus seasons to come. We know there's going to be at least one more. And we learned this week, to much joy for me and for, I think, all fans, that Pluribus is the most watched show in Apple TV history.
That's amazing.
I'm not sure exactly what metric they're using, but I'm very excited about it. And so that Apple TV would give Vince Gilligan 20 seasons if he wanted to give that to them. I'm sure he doesn't want to make quite 20. But I know that I think both Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul wound up going longer than he was originally planning. I think he's been quoted as saying he's imagining 4 seasons for Pluribus, but I can imagine, I'm sure that Apple TV wants as many as he will give them. And he might decide to make that a few more, but I feel pretty confident saying we're going to see at least 4.
I agree. I just have no earthly concept of knowing how long that's going to take. We can't count on one season every year.
We cannot.
Look at Severance. It's been like 1 billion years since that show
1
started.
1 billion years.
And they've given us 19 episodes. So it's
honestly,
just
now, of course, Severance came with some very specific roadblocks, but
right, it did. That's
but this can be how things go. And my only hope is that because it's such a hugely successful show, that Apple TV is going to take huge buckets of money and just pour them into the show, and that maybe a higher budget can speed up production if it makes things slightly easier.
Time is money. Maybe money can buy some time.
But they're going to take as long as it takes. I have no question that, Vince is going to take as long as it takes to do this to his high exacting standard, which I appreciate.
Yeah. And I'm very, very excited. And also, I do want to add one more thing on top of all of our Zosha talk. I do want to shout out Carolina Vidra, who I think is fantastic in this very, very difficult / impossible role.
Yeah.
She's very, very compelling. And it's not the right word.
So compelling. I mean, this is why I'm in love with Zosha. It's really all about Carolina, I think.
Yeah, she's doing a great job. I don't want anyone to think that I'm dogging on her. I'm having a tough time feeling a connection to this character.
Because I'm not sure you're supposed to.
Exactly. And you're right.
Yeah.
And that's why I think she has such a difficult job. So
it's such a difficult role, and she's just nailing it, I think.
Yeah.
And the fact that I feel so conflicted about her,
Yeah.
I think is exactly probably how I should feel. And the fact that she hasn't really changed her performance by any significant amount, and yet my feelings towards her have changed, is a testament to the writing and to her as an actress. Ray got a Golden Globe nomination this week, which we kind of referred to earlier, which she very much deserved. I think Carolina Vidra should have gotten one for supporting actress. It's unfortunate that she didn't, but we have hopes for the Emmys.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, everyone's just top of their game. I'm continually fascinated and compelled by this show. I'm loving it. Once again, I mean, I have to say this was one of my favorite episodes. It's going to be so hard to rank them in the end. I know.
What are we going to do?
I don't know. It was fantastic. It feels kind of like watching Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul, where there are very, very few where I'm like, yeah, that wasn't really a great episode, if any. You know what I mean? So
I know.
It's nothing. Yeah. I expect nothing else from Vince. So
even scenes that I didn't love at the time, I find myself on rewatch loving them more and more.
Yeah.
I think it's partly because when you're just watching one episode a week, I'm just like, come on, let's move on here. We need to stuff in some more stuff before the episode's over. It was different when I was watching Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad because I was binging. And so I was, very happy for there to be very slow-paced episodes from time to time because I knew I could just go to the next episode right away. So it's like, take your time. You got all the time in the world. Whereas this one, I'm like, I'm going to have to wait a whole week for the next episode. You got to give me some more. But now when I have a more patient sort of attitude and go back and rewatch those episodes, I appreciate them on another level. And so I find myself really getting into every scene and every moment. And I think I increasingly feel that every episode is perfectly paced.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that something else about Vince Gilligan's work is that it really, really is beneficial for rewatching. Like you pick up so many new things. Yeah.
It really is. Even if all you're doing is just watching it and enjoying the gorgeousness of the cinematography in every single shot, that alone is worth a rewatch. Hearing how the music's being used, seeing how the editing's being done. How is the sound editing being done? All those jungle scenes, the sounds that were going on there. Everything is so technically fascinating to me and so well done. And I'm not particularly well versed on the technical aspects of making television, but I can just tell as kind of a layperson that they're nailing it here. And I just love just sitting back and watching it happen.
Yeah. Absolutely, Jen. Well, we want to hear what you guys think. I've been having some interesting combos with people on Twitter, so reach out to us at Pluribus Pod, or you can email us, pluribuspod@gmail.com, or we're on Blue Sky, anywhere you happen to twiddle or twaddle or whatever you call it.
Twiddle. I like it. Twiddle or twaddle. I'm going to start using that phrase.
Yeah, we want to hear from you guys. But yeah, we got to wait another week, but we will be back with you guys next week on another episode of Pluribus Diaries.
Bye.